What's up, buddy? Did you see my new ride?
Sweet. Can I drive it?
Oh man, awesome. You better not freaking wreck it. Let's go.
Alright, I won't.
This is sweet, isn't it, man?
Yeah, it's sweet.
Oh, did you already link your phone to the thing? When'd you do that? This morning?
Yeah.
What is this, Google Maps? Wow, check this out, man. We're right on top of Sunbury. And what's this? Looks like sensors. You see that? It's got sensors all the way around in the car. All right, now be careful. This is my brand new car, man. I just got it from Chase. Hey, it's sensing that guy backing up. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Wow, sensors are going off all over the place. So hey, Seth, man, how you like the new ride?
You know, the cruise control, you don't even have to hit the gas.
You what?
It like senses if someone's in front of you, so you don't have to hit the brake or gas.
What do you mean? The cruise control drives the car? You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Why don't you have your feet on the pedals? Dude, you're freaking me out, man. You're freaking me out. You better not wreck my car. Wow, Seth, check this out, man. On Google Maps, it actually tells you that the street is 55. Hey, bro, that truck's slowing down. Okay, man, you are freaking me out. You gotta keep your eye on that truck. You haven't put your foot on the pedal yet. What the hell are you doing, man? You wrecked my new car, I'm gonna be pissed. How fast are we going? 57. Oh my gosh. Dude, he's slowing down. Man, bro, you're freaking me out. You better watch yourself. Keep your foot next to that pedal. This truck is slowing down. So is the car. This is amazing. Keep your foot next to that pedal.
Chill out.
What?
Chill out.
Oh my gosh, here he is. Oh God. Oh God. Your foot's not on that pedal. Here's that truck. We're stopping at the light. Holy crap. We're coming to a complete stop. He doesn't have his foot on the pedal. Okay, the light changed. Man, this is crazy. Is this crazy?
Dad, I want to go to my girlfriend's house.
Okay. Where is it?
Let's have it.
Okay. Let's see how this works, man. This is cool. All right, check this out. Oh, wow. It's a trackpad. Check this out. He's putting that in through a trackpad. That might actually be able to be a fingerprint sensor too. So I could actually have you put your fingerprint on there, and I can throttle the car so that you can't go fast in it. What a great innovation.
A man decides after 17 years that what he goes there for is to unlock the door. Well, those around him criticize and sleep. Through a fractal on a breaking wall, I see you, my friend, and touch your face again. Miracles will happen as we drift
That's a true story. The reenactment was acting. So give my son Seth a hand, huh? So that actually happened. And that's pretty close to how I responded. So I call my son a digital. He grew up on video games. His perspective on the world is totally different than mine. He saw sensors in the car where I didn't see them. I had driven the car probably 2 or 3 weeks prior to him driving. And when he got in the car, what he saw in his brain was a video console, okay? So I didn't, I'm used to sensors going off all the time in the car, and I've just kind of become unaware of those sensors. You know, the bells are always ringing. How many people pay attention to the bell that goes off when you open your door? We've kind of tuned that out. I'm not a digital. When he got in the car, he saw the sensors front and back. When the guy was backing up, that was actually my brother in the truck. There was another guy in a truck that did it the first time. That was one of the actors. I forgot to put him on there. I should give him credit. That sensor that went off when the car went beside us, there's a yellow light, you can't see it in the video, that goes off and senses anything in your blind spot. Okay? He instantly recognized in the middle of the console when he went to the navigation system that there was a trackpad. Okay, and he knew where the trackpad was. This is all stuff that I probably would have had to read the manual to know. He knew it intuitively. That's the customer of the future. So if a car was smart enough to drive itself, use real-time GPS mapping, interconnect car-to-car sensor technology, and advanced driver detection. So if you put your fingertip on the car to start it, and it not only starts the car, but it recognizes who you are because it's got your fingerprint on it, okay? What would that do? Mary? She's gonna help me. Okay, this is Mary Kaufman, our Chief Learning Officer. What would it do? What industries would change? How would things change if I could have a car, and this will happen before I die, I guarantee you. If I could have a car that drove itself, it was automatic, I didn't have to worry, it had autopilot, what industries would change? Raise your hand. This is gonna be interactive. Come on, up there at the top row.
Transportation industry.
Transportation, what part of the transportation industry? You can yell out, it's too hard to get up there.
Pizza delivery.
Pizza delivery. Could be automatic. That we'd have drones doing pizzas. Taxi services would change. Somebody said, oh, you said.
Postal trucks.
Postal trucks.
Logistics, UPS.
Logistics, UPS. Gosh, you guys are brilliant. Insurance. Who said insurance? What would change about insurance?
Policies would change because risk would change.
Beautiful. So the auto collision part of your policy may not be necessary anymore, just catastrophe. Okay?
Traffic jams.
Huh?
Traffic jams.
Traffic jams, yeah. There's rerouting instantly, right? This is awesome. Good job.
Law enforcement,
Law enforcement. What'll change in law enforcement?
the way investigations are conducted.
Yeah. How about car chases? Okay? This guy's, we have 556, 442 on a chase. Could you kill that vehicle? Oh. Now, I didn't do this because I know I only have a little bit limited time. I actually had the car flash too, okay? I had this dongle, this big dongle. It looks like a really big USB port. And you plug it into the car, and I have 5 settings on it. I have kill, which I forgot to ask the guy what kill was. There's valet, which is what it would be set to when my kids are driving. Can't go very fast. Then there's pump. At 93 octane, I get 110 more horse and 40 more pounds of torque. At race, I had to go get 100 octane fuel. I get 150 more horse and 50 more pounds of torque. Okay? So I can actually throttle the car based on a setting. And there's ways to actually go and program it so it shows up on your console in an Audi, because that's how it is over in the Autobahn, and you just press the screen. So I have some real control. That was awesome. You guys are awesome. Good job. Okay, next. Let's answer this question. Whoop, I went the wrong way. Okay? If a next-gen digital bought their car through some source funding site, like Kickstarter or Fundable, how would that change things? Okay, we're not gonna do that one. Because I got so many slides we gotta get through. But I want you to think about it. Okay? So we have a staple here in Columbus. Insurance and banking, right? If you were to walk outside, you'll see a whole lot of insurance and banking. Columbus, Ohio. Do you think that industry is going to change over the next few years? Do you think this community could change over the next few years? I think so. You know what's beautiful? Is this place is full of brilliant people. So let me tell you what my goal is here today, okay? I have an agenda, all right? I want Columbus, Ohio to be on the map for our technology innovation. And the seeds of that creativity are right here at this conference, okay? And in you people. I hear so many cool things when I come to this conference. It's amazing. So that's my goal. I want to be a hotbed for really, really interesting and cool technology, because guess what? We got a couple of industries that people are still going to need, even if that stuff happens. Because you got to deal with catastrophe and you got to deal with money. But how that happens may change. So let me ask you a question. Is agility the real goal? Does that really give us a competitive advantage? Okay, crowd participation time. Mary?
Right here. Anybody?
Any comments?
No. The meeting's going ahead.
Who said that?
Oh, here.
Okay, means to an end. Speak up so everybody can hear you.
Yeah. It's a way of staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, cool. Anybody else?
Right here.
Make money.
You want to make money today?
That's the real goal.
Okay. I don't have any money on me. I just
The real goal.
The real goal. The real goal is to make money. I'm going to do a show of hands on agreement here at the end. So this is Charlie. This is Chuck. Okay? All right, you guys remember that? Next guy, girl, whoever. I'll go to Charlemagne. It's going to be all in the Charlie vein. Anybody else? Is it the goal? Okay, how many people think it's the goal? Stand up. Whatever goal. We're here at this conference, Path to Agility, is that the goal? So no one agrees that's the goal. How many agrees with Charlie that it's about, what'd you say again, Charlie?
A means to an end.
A means to an end. How many people agree with that? Stand up. Okay, cool, about half the audience. All right, sit down. Part of this is it's after lunch, and I know you guys have been sitting a long time, so I want to keep your blood flowing. Sure. What did I name you? I forget.
Charles.
Chuck, yeah, that's right. I was going to say Charlie, maybe, then you'll be up here with me having a conversation. With Chuck, making money, is that the goal? Stand up if that's the goal. Oh, interesting. Yeah, beautiful. Sit down. Okay? Here's what I think the goal is. Creativity. So I was gonna name this talk like What's After Agile. And there's so many What's After Agile, things, and they're probably way smarter than I am. And I've been thinking really hard about, okay, so we get this thing done, this agility thing, all right? And I do believe agility is a means to the end. Good answer. And I do believe for not-for-profits, for-profits, if you want to keep getting paid, you got to make money. But that's not why we do what we do, right? That's not why I do what I do, okay? I like the money part. It's a nice benefit. But I really like the platform for people to do what they want to do and do things they never thought they'd do before. That's what I'm in it for. That's my why. So let's talk about this. So how many people are on an Agile team right now and you're doing Agile work? Okay? How many people are in enterprise Agile transformations? Your whole enterprise has transformed to Agile. Whole enterprise. Up there, one. Okay? So So here's the progression. You got to stand up an Agile team. That's a great place to go, okay? The goal is to get the enterprise Agile, okay? Once you get that, you can actually achieve business agility, because that's really the goal. We want to make our businesses more agile so they can respond more quickly. And for those of you that are in the government space, when I say business, it is anything that you do to add value, whether it be not-for-profit or profit. So I'm sorry for using business, but I think the government's kind of like business. They have revenue streams and things like that. So please bear with me on that. Okay, so when you're working in these two places, you're really trying to get IT going, okay? You're trying to get IT to the point where it just cranks out value for the organization, okay? So let me give you a case study. We started an Agile transformation for a company probably about 6 years ago. They are a large publisher, and they were in the old world really servicing libraries, and they realized that libraries are different places now, and people don't really check out books, so they figured out very quickly that they have to go digital. At the time, they were producing 3 digital products a year, okay? Anybody have any guesses that doesn't work for my company, how many products they're producing now, 5 years later?
200.
Any? Huh?
200.
Good, that was a good guess, not quite that high. Any other guesses? Not quite. Down, cold.
100.
Down a little bit more.
50.
50. 47 to be exact. Yeah. Hey, that's pick up the pace. So what productivity increase is that? I don't even know. Can anybody do the math on that one? Huh? 100? Is that a 100-fold increase? Okay, their quality assurance budget was 30% of their IT budget. You know what it is right now? 3%. So and those projects are the same size as the ones they did 5 years ago. Now, how many people think that's amazing? That's called throughput, all right? That's when the business starts to benefit in a really significant way on all this work, all right? So when you get about halfway through your Agile team and your enterprise agility thing, you really start to supercharge the business, and then you move the business forward. So if you're moving the business forward and we're pumping out 47 products a year, does that make you competitive? Who said that? Somebody said something. You whispered something over in here. It helps. It helps. What makes you competitive?
Adding value.
Being ahead of the pack.
You can be ahead of the pack. Yahoo was ahead of the pack
But you
when it came to Google, so was CompuServe.
You got to have what the customer wants. Provide
Ah.
the customer.
How do you figure that out?
And that's the problem, because the customer is always changing, so you got to be able to foresee what.
How do you figure that out? Creativity. Creativity. Do you recognize that if you were out in Silicon Valley right now and you were a rock star developer, you would have an agent and they would be brokering you? What does that say about you guys? Anybody got any clues? Come on, let's make this interactive. I already feel like I'm talking to you across the neighborhood. Come on, what's it mean?
Worth investing in.
Commodities?
Basically, if there's someone else, right?
No. They have agents.
Well, I know if they have agents representing us, we have something to offer.
Oh, absolutely. You're like a LeBron James.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I wouldn't say he's a commodity. I'm sorry, don't get mad at me. But seriously, the great developers have agents and they're brokering deals. And these guys are getting cuts. Is that amazing? Is that amazing? That is amazing to me, okay? We are sitting in the hotbed of the technology revolution. We've been talking about the technology revolution for a lot of years. We're sitting in it right now. Is that wonderful? Does that get you guys pumped up? It gets me pumped up. There's so much possibility. So what do we got to do? We got to get really creative. Okay, so I'm going to go real quick through this Agile stuff, all right, and give you some examples of what we think about when we come to creativity, okay? So this is how we kind of get up the chain in an organization to gain competitive advantage, all right? So I want to give you an example I'm going to talk a little bit about later. I have a gentleman on my board. He's also the chief scientist of the company. His name is Bill Sams. He's a brilliant man. He challenged me a couple of weeks ago at a board meeting we have this thing called the farm team. And what we do is we find folks out in the industry that are almost there. Like they really think right, they got great skills or have great skills, but they're not maybe quite there on test driven or something like that. And we put them through this farm team exercise for a few weeks. And we have 3 or 4 of them that come out of the class. It's usually a class of 8 or something like that. And we are able to give them jobs. Now the cool thing is all of them are getting jobs. So that's nice. In the stuff that we're trying to train them in. But Pillar only hires 4. So this gentleman, Bill, says to me, why do you think that's good? I'm like, well, 50%, get through. He's like, all of them should have a job at the end. Where did I get that thinking? That somehow 50% was good. Where did we get the bell-shaped curve thing in schools, in classes? Where did we get that? I don't know. Whoever invented it, we need to kill that thing. Because I usually am on the left. I'm usually not on the right. So when I get my score, I'm like, oh God, I'm stupid. Okay? So anyways, I'll tell you something interesting happened about 3 weeks ago in the Forge. So I brought a team in from an organization here in town. And we do this thing in the Forge. So if you haven't been in the Forge, please come to the Forge. It's for the community. And we do some kind of innovative things there. So we bring a big corporate organization in, and we're talking about innovation, okay? So we went through, we got some root causes down, and we did this through the business agility wall. That's out in the Forge space. But the interesting thing about it was we got to the end, they're like, okay, so we understand why we're not getting innovation and creativity out of the organization, but we got this fundamental problem. Fundamental problem is you have a $500,000 ceiling for any project, okay? And so if we understand this Agile thing, we want to fail fast. So, $500,000 is a lot to spend on failure. What if we spent 10,000 or 15,000 or 100,000 and we tested things really quickly and got them into the market? That's kind of the growth hacker movement, okay? And I'll talk about that later. So I said, who are you talking to? Who's the guy you're talking to? They said, well, it's the CFO. I said, you know what CFOs know? They know venture capital, first, second round, third round. So here's what you gotta do. Go to them and say, okay, treat that $500,000 like a venture capital fund, and we'll get you a return on the portfolio of projects inside of a $500,000. So you can have a $50,000 project, you can have a $75,000, $100,000, as long as we get you the return in the $500,000, you're good, right? IT guys are like, wow, that's great. That was creative. Now, was that creative? Heck no, it wasn't creative. That's what the venture people do. Really. I mean, I'd like to take credit for that. I left and I thought, that's what venture people do. We get stuck in paradigms and somehow we don't cross them over. So what I want to encourage you today is I want you to try to think out of the box. I'm going to teach you some skills on how you've learned, the way that you've learned, and how to unlearn yourself on the stuff that you didn't learn, okay? And I'll give you some examples later. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. How many people here know children? How many people were children? How many people were in a picture like this when they were a kid? What are these guys doing?
Coloring.
What part of their brain do they use when they color? What happens when you get into first grade? All right, buddy. If you color on the wall one more time, it's white, right? And it's in the lines, see the blocks? This is an awesome design, so I just colored the blocks. So now they're multicolored blocks, white, blue, red. It's beautiful, isn't it? No. Okay, right? So they push you over to the left. So here's the deal. You're born creative. If I were to ask your mom and dad what you were creative in, I guarantee you they would tell me something. Okay? Now sometimes it's not the best thing. That was mostly my case. There are a few good things that I did, but not very many. Okay? But yeah, your parents, they talk about creativity. Am I doing something wrong here? We good? Okay. So, if I were to ask one of you that's willing to say what your mom and dad would say you were creative at when you were a kid, give me an answer. Destroying things. So you should be a tester. Who said that? Put your hand up. Oh, up there. I keep thinking there's a sound thing. Are you a tester?
No.
You're not?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're all tests. So.
There you go. Boom. So you probably write some good tests on the front of your code, right?
I do.
Okay, give me another one. You were arson? Is that what you said? Were you an arson? You should own a company that's a security company. Okay? I'm serious. I broke into my own space the other day because I was doing this, or we're thinking about doing this app with a guy that owns a security company, and he walked in, he's like, you know, you can get in your space. I'm like, really? I said, I know I can, that's why I got a key. No, you don't need a key. All you gotta do is put something underneath the door to get the sensor to go off, and the doors will open. A couple days later, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna try that. So I took this big cardboard thing out that night, and I'm like shoving it underneath. Boop, comes open. I'm like, wow. I'm a hacker. I'm an arson. I can't be an arson, I'm paying rent here. But anyways.
It's been fixed.
It's been fixed, yeah. Okay, who else had one?
Climbing to the tallest piece of furniture I could.
So you're a climber. All right, beautiful. What happened to that? Do you still climb?
Sometimes.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a story. How am I doing on time? Am I doing good? Okay, I'll tell you a story. So, I'm a shortcut guy, all right? I always try to find the fast track to something. So, when I was a kid, my dad was a salesman. The easiest target to sell somebody something is to find out if they're salespeople. If you're a salesperson and you're a halfway decent salesperson, they buy everything because they're sympathetic, okay? So this guy comes to the door and he's selling instruments, all right? So I'm in the room coloring or playing or doing something that kids do, and I hear that my dad, what am I doing that's causing that? I hear that my dad is having a conversation about some kind of instrument. Does anybody know what the instrument was? It was an accordion. My dad buys a freaking accordion from some dude, and he comes and he awards me the accordion. I'm like, what? Accordion? I can't freaking play an accordion? Are you kidding? No, you're playing an accordion. I'm like, you kidding? We're going to Terry Piano and Organ on Monday. It's over on High Street. You are going to learn to play the accordion. I'm like, you are freaking kidding me. So whatever I could do to master the accordion so I could move up to the organ was awesome. Or the piano, but the piano, there wasn't any room, so they bought me an organ. So I'm playing the organ, okay? I'm going through music class. There was one thing I learned. I always had her play the music before I left, because I could play by ear. So as soon as she played, I'd have it. I'd play it the next week. She says, hey, this is a really advanced kid, you know, and wow, he could be a really famous organ player. Now this is the 70s with the Partridge Family. I loved David Partridge's hair. He didn't play no freaking organ, but he did play an organ. It was a cool organ. So they sent me over to Capitol University. I started playing that song that was the intro to the film. That's the fugue, toccata, and D or something like that. I could play that on a big pipe organ. It was kind of difficult because in that day, you'd play it, there's about a quarter to a half a second delay before the pipe lit up and played. So it was really kind of difficult, but I thought it was very challenging. I did it for about 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years into it, they started really giving me some hard stuff, okay? I'm playing along one day, it's like, stop. Go to 4th measure, 3rd bar, your timing's way off. That's like 16, 17 timing. I'm like, I can't read music. What do you think he did? He flipped out. He's like, what do you mean you can't freaking read music? I'm like, yeah, I can't read music. He's like, how you been doing this every week? I said, I hear you play it. I quit music. He started putting he busted me out. I quit. I'm like, this ain't no fun no more. My oldest son plays like 5 instruments, never taken a lesson in his life. Those kinds of things happen to us whether we recognize it or not in our professional life. I want to release you from that today. Okay? So, how do we do that? First I can unmove the slide. No connection available. That stinks. Okay. Come on. Come on, network. I'll do it this way. The old way. Okay, so I don't think that's the way that's supposed to come up. All right. Let's go back. Okay, how many people think they're creative? Stand up. Beautiful. Beautiful. Why are you in this class? You should be going somewhere else. Stay up. Stay up. Okay, I'm going to give you the definition of creativity. Everybody that's sitting down, read the first definition to creativity. If you think you fit that definition, please stand up. Now, if there's people sitting down after reading that first definition, I'm coming back there and wondering if you can read English. Having the quality or power of creating? Come on! Everybody's up. So guess what? You are now pronounced creative. Sit down. Okay. Well, this stinks. I gotta go back here. Hey, Mary, do me a favor. Come up here in the chair and advance my computer because of the clicker. All right, so here's the deal. So we start out with art, then we move into academics. Okay? How many people are familiar with Sir Ken Robinson? If you're not familiar with Sir Ken Robinson, please go to TED, sort the videos by most viewed. It's the most viewed video ever on TED.com. Talks about how schools are killing the creativity in our kids. Okay? If you have kids, or if you know kids that are coming up through the system, we have to have kids who are creative. His quote, creativity is important as literacy and modern education. I totally believe that. I know that all of you are literate. I'm going to translate that to our world. Creativity is the most important thing that you can give to your organization, being a digital procurement advisor, okay? Because guess what? You guys understand digital. You don't understand digital like my son understands digital, if you're anywhere close to my age, but you're darn close, and you're the people that are going to lead us to the next generation. Okay, next. Bummer. Wish this was working. Okay? All right, so let's talk about traditional education. This even happened in my organization until recently, so listen up, Mary. What do we do when we go to a class? Somebody gives us a plan, then they teach us, then they test us. We do crappy on the test, at least I did. Then they try to teach us some more. We get to the end, we do average on the test. Now, you guys that are really good in school, that wasn't your issue. Okay? You want me to show you test-driven education? How many people want to test-driven education? Bring it to me, come on. Test-driven education, you ready? Yeah. Next slide. Give the test first. Well, that'd be great. I'd love to do that. You walk in class, okay, here's your test. They're like, what the heck? You haven't taught us anything yet. Well, I just want to know what you know. And then everybody fails the test. You're like, okay, good. You're all on the same level. You don't know anything about this subject. But there's probably people in there that know the subject, right? Or at least parts of it. So guess what? Don't worry about that part if they already know it. Just test them. And then teach them, and then test them, and teach them, and test them, and teach them, and test them, teach them. Guess what happens at the end? Everybody gets A's! We get rid of the bell-shaped curve. Who created the bell-shaped curve? I don't know. Does anybody know? Google that, will you? Send that guy a note and say, that's the stupidest idea for education. No, I'm kidding around here, but isn't that a radical idea? Huh? How many people don't believe in it? Give me some feedback. You don't believe in it? Why? Are you being serious? Are you kidding? Test-driven education. That's what we want to do.
That's life, isn't it?
Huh?
That's life.
That's life.
Absolutely, good point. That's life. This stuff applies. So how are we learning? This conference is a test-driven education conference. You know what? Everybody brings their problems and opportunities in here, and we talk about them, and you accelerate learning curves. Next. Okay?
James Dalton.
James Dalton.
1937.
Yep.
1937.
Absolutely. Okay, so let me give you, anybody ever seen Cats or Phantom of the Opera? Anybody know the story of Gillian Lynn? You do. Okay, Gillian Lynn. She's a choreographer, Cats, and Phantom of the Opera, two of the most popular, Broadway shows ever. She was in school, having major problems in school. Major problems. Couldn't get through the education system. The school folks said, go see a psychologist with your parents. This is a really smart psychologist, by the way. So he sits down with Jillian, talks to her for 20 minutes or so with her parents. Says, Jillian, I want to go outside, talk to your parents for just a second. He says, I'll be right back. We'll be right outside the door. Don't worry. She's a little bit anxious. This is scary for her. Okay. As the psychologist walks out of the room, he flips the radio on, walks outside. He's just outside the window. And he says, look at your daughter. Just after turning the radio, she got up and she started dancing around the room, very eloquently. The psychologist brilliantly says, she's not sick, she's a dancer. Take her to dance school. Look what she did. Anybody know Mick Fleetwood? Mick Fleetwood thinks he's dyslexic to this day. Same situation. We have things that we do that are special. A lot of people find them, but a lot of people don't, okay? I see so much potential when I come to this conference. It's amazing to me, okay? Let me give you an example of one of them. Next, yeah. Okay? So, write this down. First step, you got to WMW. That's what my son would put in if he was texting one of his friends. WMW. So how many people think they know what WMW is? Except for the people that have heard me talk before. I'll give you the first word. What? It's in your syllabus or your write-up. What is it? What?
What's my why?
What's my why? Write that down. That's kind of interesting too, because the W's and the M, there's some, I could create a cool logo out of there if I would have prepared a little bit earlier. What's my why? So what is your why? I'll give you an example of a why. Okay, next. Okay, whoops, I'll go back. Go back. Okay, how many people have read Agile Adoption Patterns? Anybody? Really good book. Really good book, okay? In Agile Adoption Patterns, they talk about a team that takes 12 months to build a product. If they totally scrap the code and rewrite the product, how long do you think it'll take them? Any guesses? 2 months to 7 months. So the bottleneck is learning, okay? The bottleneck is learning. So that's kind of practical learning, but there's a heck of a lot of creativity that goes into that learning process. So what I want to try to do is I want to help you with Mary today to learn a little bit about how you function so you can be hyper creative. And guess what? Hyper creative people tend to be hyper productive people because they find ways to get around stuff. Let me give you an example of one. I'm really dying here since I don't have all my speaker notes. I'm having to go back and look at the dumb slide. Okay, this is DJ. All right? DJ's here somewhere in the room. I won't point him out and embarrass him. DJ was at a client, and we love all of our clients. We just adore our clients. But sometimes we don't adore the work they give us. This is the situation with each. Not anybody here. It's in a whole other state. So the president of the company is freaking out right now. Like, what are you doing talking about a client? I'm talking about DJ. So the client came to him and said, DJ, I need you to build SOA services for me. and I want one of these SOA services for each one of these tables, and there's a specific name. Where is he? I saw him. Where are you, DJ? What's the name of the service they want you to build?
They just want CRUD services.
CRUD services. Love that CRUD word. CRUD services. How many tables were there?
5,000.
Oh yeah, 5,000. Yeah, it's on the slide. So DJ does some quick math in his head. How many do they want you to do a day? One. So he says. This is a hyper-productive situation, let me tell you. 13.7 years. So he's like, I'm at this client until I'm 65. I don't want to retire here. You know what he did? What'd you do, DJ? Loudly.
Scripted it.
You scripted it. How long did it take you?
8 seconds.
How many services did you produce?
All 5,000.
All 5,000. Okay? You went back to the client, he's like, here you go, it's done. They're like, what are you talking about? It's done. There's your 5,000 services. They're like, well, okay, how about if we do 3 a day? He's like, okay, I put it in GitHub, just check out 3 a day. For the next 9 years. That's creative, isn't it? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. He's an artisan in our company. That's why we call him an artisan. He comes up with these creative ways to figure out things that seem like a daunting task, all right? That's what I'm talking about. Next. Mary Kaufman, Chief Learning Officer. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm trying to make this a group participation thing, but it's not working very well. Come on, Mary, it's your turn.
When you were in school and you learned to learn a certain way, you built and really burned habits into your brain that are very hard to change, but it's quite doable. And I just want to share this story to give you a mindset around the way people think and why we fall into certain, I guess, patterns. When I started in corporate America, I read an article that talked about the advent of the computer and the perspective that people had about what the computer was going to do to make our lives easier. And this national newspaper reporter writes this article and says, hey, with the advent of the computer, we all need to invest in leisure activities because we're going to be done with our work by noon on Monday, and we're going to have 4.5 days to enjoy life. So get ready for what the computer is going to do for you. Is that what happened in your life? No. Did it get a little bit more complicated? So obviously, people who write articles aren't always telling us the truth. The things that we learn in school, the way we learn, put your hands on your knees, the patterns that we learn, people aren't necessarily, they're telling you because it's easier for them to teach in those methods than it is for us to learn. Can you understand? Do you have kids in school today? And they give mass assignments and that kind of thing. Our world is changing. The advent of technology has not made it easier on our brains, has not taken stress out of our life. If anything, it's caused us to have to step up. So when you graduated from high school, did you say to yourself, did you look back at the past and say, oh, I'm so glad that's all over, no more tests? Did your tests end when high school ended? No. Did it just begin? It just got even more challenging. It might have been a different kind of a test. We don't stop learning when we leave high school. If anything, we need to reinvent ourselves and understand more about who we are. So what we're going to share with you very briefly today are some ideas that you can carry forward. And in fact, 8 of you are going to walk away today in some way with this book. It's called The Dominance Factor. The idea is that our brain and the way our brain works, there's a whole focus on the way our body takes in information, and it really starts with the brain, and all we have time for today is to talk about the brain. So let me just quickly, if you don't mind hitting my slides, back and forth here. Your dominant brain, the left side is logical, the right side is intuitive. The left side controls feelings, the right side is that you're free with your feelings. Again, we want to plan or be spontaneous, and then look to the future or look to now. And finally, structure and people. Now this is just a generalization. I recognize there's so much more to our brains, and really, You know, if the truth be known, really there's 5 to 10% of us that really our left brain is our creative brain. And I know we don't even really want to get into all that, but I want to make sure that I'm aware it's a complex thing. There are billions and billions of things going on in your brain right now. You know, studies show that we can do 11 million processes in our brain a second. It's the things that are just going on behind the scenes, our breathing and blood flow and, you know, looking at image resonations and all kinds of things. But we can really only focus on 20 to 40 concepts in our brain in a minute in the forefront. In the background, we can do all kinds of things. In the forefront, and it's debatable, some scientists believe it's 4 things. So really, you have to know yourself. So the brain is so powerful, but let me take this to the next level. In the book, and this is just one example, and we're going to, like I say, 8 of you are going to get a copy of this today. Go to that next slide. The best test for how, whether you're left brain or right brain, is this. It's how do you respond to stressful situations? Is there any stress in the room? You know, yeah, I mean, is it, are you experiencing 4.5 days of leisure activities, or do you feel a little bit of stress every day, right? So I have a feeling that everyone in this room may have experienced a little bit of stress, maybe even today. Did you feel it? Just a little bit of stress? Or maybe was it before you left to get everything done to come to this conference? So we respond to stressful situations, and that really reveals to each of us whether we're more left brain or more right brain, and that will help us know how we best learn and how we can unleash creativity. So analyze the situation, see the whole situation. Or in the left, if we're more left brain, we want to write about it or talk about it. If we're more right brain, we want to feel the emotion. If we're left brain, we focus on the details. Now I want to pause there. How many of you, when there's a stressful situation and you're dealing with a problem, immediately you want to go to the details? Yeah. So if you focus on the details, that's a real telltale sign that you are more left brain, which is a good thing to know. We need left brain. We need our left brain. In fact, it's really whole brain. The other piece is that we're unable to focus on the details. And last on this piece is the need to understand versus the need to physically move. How many of you, when you feel stressed, you feel like you need to move around? Yeah, stand up. Stand up. For those of you that feel like you got to move around, let me share with you the word emotion. The Latin root of that word is motere, and motere means to move, and means to move away. So that makes sense to me that for what you're dealing with, you can go ahead and sit down. I was trying to keep you awake like Bob was. The idea here is this. When we feel an emotion, our body naturally wants to move in some fashion. But if we're more left brain, we're going to fight that because we're just going to sit still because we're frozen when we focus on the details. Understanding that is a key to your future to unlock how you learn. Do you think that tomorrow or this coming quarter is going to be easier than last quarter? Do the solutions that you bring to the table today, I used to be a programmer. I was really good at Pascal. Okay? Does that matter? Does that matter today that I could program in Pascal?
If you're coding in Delphi, it does.
Okay, all right. I'm going to tell you, what I knew a decade ago, I have to keep reinventing myself in order for me to be what? Relevant. For me to bring value and allow my creativity to rise to this idea that Bob has been talking about with productivity. So the next thing we want to talk about then is to exercise thyself. So to know thyself, what's my why, and then exercise myself. So here are a couple of things that you can do in order to take a step. Okay. If we want to activate our creative brain, if you are in a situation and you know that it's going to require some quick thinking to solve it, and you have to come up with some solution in the now, really, which is the creative side, and I want to turn on my right brain, which side of my body controls my right brain? Yeah, the left side, right? So if the left side of the body controls the right brain, then everything about what you want to do is to activate that brain, that side of the brain. Flooding that side of the brain with oxygen will do a great deal. In fact, 2 quick tips I have for you if you really want, well, really 3, I can't help myself. But first is, we are walking around a dehydrated nation. We need to drink more water. You need to flood the brain with water. We need water. And we need oxygen. We have to learn to breathe deeply. So Bob has been giving me a tip on this because I've been teaching people how to, okay, so if I want to flood my right brain with oxygen, this is a very quick tip, I'll tell you, you can use it all day long if you want to wake yourself up and turn on your brain. Flood the right side of your brain with oxygen. Which nostril do I cover? The right, because I'm going to open up my left side. So what I want to do, so he said, yeah, but you can be casual about it. Pretend like you're going to cough. So everybody, come on, join me. Ready? Take a deep breath. So we're going to take a breath. Find a way to cover the right nostril. Or if you're stuck, just take a deep breath no matter what, because you're going to flood your whole brain. But if you really want to flood it, you need oxygen. And what's another way you can get oxygen?
Here's what you don't do.
Yeah. Yeah, he was giving that tip to the last right brain class we taught.
That'll get you in trouble at work.
The other thing you can do is stand up. That really opens up your airways. And then just take a deep breath when you're standing up. Do you ever find that when you're sitting there and you're really stuck, you need to just push yourself away, stand up, and take a deep breath? Everyone, up, take a deep breath. This is huge. I'm making you work. Deep breath, really deep breath. You just allowed yourself the opportunity to receive a resource that's free. It's free. You can have it anytime you want. You can sit down. Bottom line is this, you've got to breathe. And I know it sounds simple, but the fact remains the brain needs oxygen, and a lot of it, in order for you to be creative. Next is to draw. If I want to turn my right brain on, which hand do I pick up and draw with? Okay, a couple of things you can do. If you're sitting in a meeting and you really know that your creativity is turned off, have you ever had that where you're just blocked? You just have this mental block where you just can't think of whatever it is you're trying to think of? Take your pen. If you have a pen right now, I'm urging you to do this. Take your pen and draw figure eights. Just sit there. No one's going to notice that you're doing this. This is something subtle you can do. It immediately turns on the connections of your brain, connects in the corpus, the center, the corpus callosum, and keeps that two sides of the brain working together. And just do that. Now, the real thing is if you can actually get both sides going, because the real power is to get both sides of your brain going at the same time. But if you know you need creativity, there's so many things you can do as a team as well. You know, Bob teaches this, and it's something that I've now, one of my earlier bosses always said to me, plagiarize, plagiarize, never let another man's work evagorize. So I borrow all kinds of stuff from Bob all the time. And so what I will tell you is if you're stuck, stand up, get a sheet of paper, and just start drawing an abstract image, and everyone that's in the team needs to keep adding to that image. So draw. You can control that. You can draw and turn on your right brain. It's a simple thing, but it will cause you to unlock that idea. In fact, we often facilitate teams, and John Houston's in the room, and he's witnessed this with me, as we facilitated team learning. And we'll have teams get to the point of tears. They're so frustrated with each other. You know, John will go over, or I'll go over, and we'll cause them to start drawing and get them to work together. And you can't believe how it lightens the mood when you are stuck on a situation. It totally changes everything. And they end up solving the thing 10 times faster than they would have if they would have just sat there kind of thinking about the situation. Rather than taking action, you've got to move. Your body wants to move, which is, this last piece is to get up and move around. Now, this book is called The Dominance Factor. It's a very inexpensive book. The bottom line with this is it teaches you your 5 dominances. Your brain, your eye, which hand is dominant, which foot is dominant, and then your hearing, which ear is dominant. If you can understand, there's self-tests in this book, you can easily identify for you what are your 5 dominants. If you understand the way you learn and the way your body moves, if you have the opportunity to get up and move around, if you're really stuck in a situation, sitting with your foot crossed, and sit up straight and take a breath and like cross your hands, what that does, believe it or not, really short, you don't want to do it for too long. What that does is it turns on both sides of your brain. Then you want to get up and stand. If you allow your body and movement and the way that you're connected, and actually a cross-lateral move is really important. Put your hand on the opposite side and put this hand on the opposite side. Doing this movement back and forth completely turns on the way that you learn. So, quick story as I hand it back to Bob. There was a young boy, 10 years old, who was not doing well in school. He was a troubled kid, really struggling. And the researcher, the parents were at wit's end. They didn't know what they were going to do with this kid. He was not learning. He was failing. And they went in for meeting after meeting with the principal. And all of a sudden, the principal asked him questions about this kid's creativity. And the dad said, well, you know, over Christmas, as soon as Christmas was over, I'll call him Johnny. Johnny raided the trash bin and took all the Christmas lights that were not working, they were broken. He rewired them to the stereo so that the different musical notes that were hit, the thing would light up. And then he went on to tell him some more stories about the incredible creativity of this kid. What happened was, this researcher had worked with him and taught him some of these tools that were used in the book about learning, and that's what caused the kid to be unleashed, to do this kind of cool stuff. It ended up the kid was super successful, had a great life. I mean, it's an amazing story, it's in the book. I would encourage you, think differently. When you know that you have to tackle, you own your learning, you own your future. You have the opportunity to find out about yourself, know how you learn, okay? Practice it. So if you want to hit the last slide. So activating your creative brain, simple things. These are simple things, but you have to practice, and it's your choice. You get to choose how you want to engage in this. You know, Bob called us a call to action. It's a challenge for us to apply creativity. We have then an incredible opportunity to be a part of the solution. You can leave here today, make some choices to learn more about how you learn and how you can unlock your creativity. So, I'll hand it back to you.
Cool. Thank you so much. Now, there are really subtle ways to do this. So the really great thing about the Agile world is we have these open team spaces, and you can stand up, and honestly, these things work. They really do. Okay, so I want to finish with a story, then I'm going to get to question and answer. Okay, so when I was little, okay, I was ornery as heck. They called me incorrigible. Look it up. It's not a good word. So anyways, I was about 10. My sister was about 16, okay? Anybody having 16-year-olds right now? I have 16 right now. Girl, they got some hormone issues going on right now, okay? So my sister had some hormone issues. She called me stupid, okay? We say things, people say things. A lot of times it doesn't affect you, but sometimes it does. It took me till about 28 to think I wasn't stupid, okay? I figured out when I was in my master's program and I had learned Greek and Hebrew that I wasn't stupid. 18 years later, okay? That's kind of a sad story. People have told you you're not creative. I'm here to tell you that's a lie, okay? You are creative. You're born that way. You have special gifts. We are gonna rock this world in Columbus, Ohio. How about a big hand for Columbus, Ohio, huh? Okay? I want to see us be one of the most creative, innovative cultures on North America. I'm tired of hearing about freaking Silicon Valley. Now, they have nice mountains and sun and all that stuff, so let's get really rich and buy a nice plane, okay? So, hopefully this is helpful. Do me a favor, fill out those surveys. This is the first time we've actually done this kind of public thing. Give me good feedback, don't be nice, okay?
You can be nice.
You all get A's. All right, questions, Q&A.
Thanks. That was easy. Yeah, I have two questions, and these might seem odd.
You only get one.
Okay, that's
No,
fine.
you're
I
fine.
have it for my friend.
2 questions are fine, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ignore the guys in the black shirts.
When we're talking about the right and left brain, I'm just curious because I'm left-handed. Does that have any bearing on your creativity? Because
Actually, it enhances it.
okay,
And there's actually a whole section in the book.
that talks about it.
Give her one,
Talks about
yeah,
it.
give her one for that question.
I already gave
Okay,
you
good.
one.
Anybody that has questions, we're giving you a book
That's
right
right, that's right.
Next.
Questions up here.
now. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Just,
Can't hear the questions up here.
okay, I'm sorry, I'll repeat it. The question was, if you're left-handed, does that have any effect on the left brain, right brain? Mary's answer was, yes, it enhances it.
It does, and there's a lot more science behind it in the book, but it's not an easy, quick answer on that. It does on most cases, it does.
Okay, you were next, yeah.
So you mentioned how the schools and how we're booming this out of our children and we're forcing them out of that creativity. What's going on to try to change that back?
You're gonna start changing it.
I mean,
So the question was, schools are taking out arts and sciences, okay? I'm hoping after this talk, you go home and you watch the YouTube video or the 2 YouTube videos from Sir Ken Robinson. You go back into your schools, and you tell them, cut this out. All right, we got to change the education system. I'm not sure why it ended up that way, but we have the power to fix it. So that's what we're doing, okay?
I think I
Next.
saw her hand, okay.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, we'll do this one, then you. Okay. Who's over here?
I was gonna get this guy, he had his hand up early. Blue shirt, right there in the
Over
middle.
here? Him?
Yeah,
Oh, I was just, so in the workplace, you know, they have a lot of get this done, get this done, get this done, and I don't think I ever had to deal with 5,000 SOAs, thankfully, but you know, coming from, a lot of people coming in from schools, you know, especially in IT, that were coming in straight out of school, they had their creativity kind of collapsed on, especially the new way of teaching for the
Right.
test. How do we, you know, go about and encourage, you know, kind of at that level, kind of promote creativity with these guys?
okay. So the question is, we have a lot of digitals coming out of college that have been sapped of creativity, okay? How do we overcome that? Look into, when you get home, Google Makers and Movements, okay? In Columbus, we have this thing called The Forge, okay? And The Forge is a place for people to go in and have no constraints, okay? That's the mantra of The Forge. Sincerely, The Forge is for this community. You know, Pillar takes advantage of it, but a lot of people take advantage of it. We've had everything from catering companies come in there to furniture companies to, you know, you name it. I can't even list all the people who come in there. And we come in and say, be creative, okay? Think differently. So we gotta overcome it. It's a problem, okay? I do want to answer, well, I thought you were going a different direction with that question about the rigor of the day-to-day grind, okay? That's where I'm going to answer that question, okay? So I want to do a test here, all right? Whoever can do this, you get the rest of the books to pass out, okay? So everybody close your eyes. If you got to put your fingers in your ears, I want you to shut your brain down right now. Did you do it? Who did it? Who shut their brain down? No, you did not. You can't shut your brain down, okay? So here's the deal. There are super creative ways to solve problems. Do some of these techniques when no one's watching. This is the nice thing about cubes. You can go. They're like doing yoga moves? Kinda. All right? There's always creative ways to move through this stuff. I see amazing creativity. We have a couple teams working in the Forge. They're like 3 or 4x more productive than any other team, and we're not doing the measurements. They think they can be twice as much, 8x productive. We don't tell them how to sit. We don't tell them how to work. They just do their thing, okay? And they're activating their brain. They don't necessarily realize that they're doing that, but they are activating their brain, and they are coming up with really, really creative solutions, and they could triple their throughput. And it's an environment where they're pounding out, we've got to get this done. And it doesn't affect them. So this works, even in those grind environments. Okay, one more question over here.
This person, and then right up there, I'm going to get you in the checkered shirt up there in the balcony. In blue, you're next.
You had mentioned using your opposite hand to draw with.
Yes.
When I'm in a meeting, I cannot sit still. I have to be doodling the entire time. Is that creative because I'm not using the opposite hand? Is it still creative?
It is. I would encourage you to force yourself to doodle with the opposite hand as well. In all my classes, in fact, I have a whole bunch of people that have been in some of my classes. You know what I make you do, and they don't like me at first, but then they try to do. Because I make you do that, and it changes you.
So the question was, she can't think unless she's doodling.
Yeah.
And she wanted to know if that was okay. And Mary gave her a book and said, bless you. Yes, that's okay.
All right.
Do it with both hands.
We got a book for you up there in the balcony.
Okay? Right here in the middle.
Is it true that any question will get you a book?
Yes. Throw it to him. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been missing the guys in the freaking balcony.
Yeah.
Who? I saw a hand up there in the balcony. Was that him? That was the question?
Is that you? Is that him?
Okay, good job, my man. All right, up there, all the way, a very back row.
All right, who's next? Oh, the dominance factor. Yeah, and I don't want to miss all of you. She's got her hand up, and I saw your hand over
Okay,
there.
ebook. All right, over here.
Okay, you'll be next.
So I read where Google gives their employees 20% of the time just to be creative and do
Yeah.
whatever they want. How
Yeah.
do you convince management to do something similar?
Talk to management about this. Have me come in and talk to them about the productivity that we're getting.
Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
you have charts and graphs and websites.
Yeah,
where-
here's the deal.
That's what they want is numbers to show.
Okay,
show
does
them
anybody
the
can quickly do the market cap on Google? Okay?
A lot.
All right? Do the market cap on Walmart. Do the market cap on, Apple. Creativity rules. All right? Now, creativity is not necessarily all pretty stuff. Google was really creative. They looked at Yahoo and they said, we're not going to do all that stuff. We're just going to do the search engine part. Made it really simple, really worked well. Now they own the market. Everything's getting Googled. Okay, next question.
Over here, and then we'll get you next. And that's it. That's I got
So schools are taking creativity away from kids. What can you do at home to kind of counterbalance that? What are things that you can do with them so they don't lose that?
Okay, number one, what do you yell at your kid most about? That's probably their creative part coming out.
Doesn't listen.
Okay? Figure out a way to channel that. My second son, okay, he has taken apart everything in my house. Okay? You know what he does now? He's my in-house maintenance guy. I'm like, oh, Seth, I think this is broken. He's like, no, it isn't. Fixes it. Okay? So, two things. Whatever you yell at them most for is probably that creative element that's frustrating the heck out of you. Figure out a way to channel it. And be intentional about making sure they don't get sucked into the SAT thing. Now, left brain is good. They got to do good on their SATs. Okay? That's just the way the system works. But we need creativity. You got to be very intentional about your creative exercises. So if they like art, take them to art festivals, take them to art shows, encourage them to be artists, buy them guitars, and take them to places where they dance. Whatever they like, find their element, find their why, and encourage it. Okay?
Somebody else had a hand. Is that you?
Right there.
I'm not asking what you're going
That's okay. There you go. We're all out. You can still ask questions.
By culture, I'm from India, and by culture, we are trained to do math and science and not look into art. And I try to push the same on my kid too. So in this world where we are competing with kids, when my child grows up, she competes with kids from all around
Yes.
the world. How do we balance that? Because right now I push her to do math and science more than, artsy stuff.
Right.
So I don't know as a parent how to balance that out. But because I came out fine, I'm a developer.
We're glad that you feel that
Yeah,
you're fine.
so-
Thank you. We would concur that you are fine. I would take them to the Taj Mahal. That's what I would bring up the Taj Mahal. Did I just embarrass myself? Like you guys gave me these nonverbals like that ain't in India. That is in India, right? Okay, good. Dish, where are you, man? Where are you, Dish? We're freaking out here. Did I say something wrong? No. Take them to the Taj Mahal, get a picture of the Taj Mahal, and say, this was built a long time ago. How do you think they did that? So they got an engineering orientation. Isn't this beautiful? This is so beautiful. Look at the clothes that Indian people wear. They are freaking beautiful. You guys have a beautiful culture that just is getting, because somebody in the past said engineering, computers, future, that doesn't mean that stays or sticks. Creativity with that is powerful. So you got to just draw it out of them because it's in there. It's just dormant. Okay, we're done? Okay. Thank you very much. Please give us feedback on the forums, okay? Thank you so much for putting up with us.